Technology, diversity, wine, the redwoods, and everything in between. Welcome to the Northern California Bay Area, and one show takes you inside the real estate that makes it all happen. This is By the Bay.
Hey everyone, welcome back to By the Bay. I'm your host, Dan Ancheta, and I am really glad that you're here. Please like and subscribe to us on YouTube and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and follow us on social media on Instagram at By the Bay Podcast. And that would be awesome to engage with the audience a little bit more and have some feedback from you all. And if you leave us a 5-star review, I'd be really, really grateful. So anyhow, I am here today with Amanda Kuzak from Kuzak's Closet, and we are talking today about your business, which is super cool. And like we've been talking a bunch lately about your business that does like housing, like liquidation, estate sales, and it's not like the dusty old stuff estate sales, which I think people like kind of think it is. But your market and the way like the clients you serve, it's super fascinating. So I'd love for you to share with the audience, like what does Kuzak's Closet do and who do you serve and what does it look like?
Yeah, so we specialize in private liquidation. So on our website, it says we're not your average estate sale company, but we're not in the average real estate market. So that's really why we specialize in private liquidation, because it's a fast-paced service. It happens at the estate where the items are located. So the staff is there going through and sorting through the contents of what families leave behind, and then we will have an online sale on our custom app. So shoppers come to the estate to do curbside pickup, but they don't come into the estate.
So like I see these signs like estate sale, and it's basically like a garage sale. This is not that.
No, it's not that. It's a more curated approach to show the best side of every estate. So we handle all estates that come our way. So we don't ever say, hey, that's not for us, or there's not enough value for us. We do high value, we do low value, we do high volume. Like this week we had a massive project in Menlo Park. Low value, major volume, like 5 loads of metal recycling. And then our second project was like 100 listings from Portola Valley from an $8 million home that was gorgeous. Wow. But they're moving. So it's one dynamic to the other. So
walk us through, because I think this is very, and when you told me about this originally, I was like, really, that wasn't intuitive for me to understand that. Walk me through like the process that you and your team go through to like get a house ready for liquidation, and like how you go through and sort out and figure out what is worth selling and what is to be recycled, and like how does the family take the valuables that they want to keep out of the house? Kind of give us like the rundown of the overall process.
Yeah, so the start of the process is to send photos to us of the estate, of each room. So my inbox is filled with the most fascinating emails every single morning. And then from there, I will give families an idea of how we can help, what the cost would be, and the sales estimate. And then all they have to do from that point is remove what they want to keep, which is hard to say to somebody because it's easier to go down that rabbit hole of donating and tossing. But we really want them to focus only on that. I always tell families, go clockwise or counterclockwise around a room, set a date with your family to have pickups required, and then after that, it's our turn to come in. And then we start 9 a.m. and we divide up throughout the house and we determine who has each zone. And then in those zones, there's a sales associate who will be really hand sorting and picking the best things from that zone to list. And then there's a hauling team member with that sales associate who's boxing and bagging trash, recycling, donations. And then we are photographing and listing items. And then by that day at 3 o'clock, this is on day one, we've just gotten into this house.
6 hours later.
Yeah, our marketing photos are due. So every sales associate sends those to me. And then a collage goes out, an email blast goes out. We do Instagram Reels, Instagram Stories. And typically that sale will happen that day at 7 p.m. And then in like 6 to 15, 20 minutes, 90% of the sales sold out.
That's
on the app. Yeah, so it's all listed on this app, and then, which is called Shop Kuzak's Closet. It's our own custom platform, so you're not looking through other people's estates in other areas, and you're not waiting for an auction to end. It's set pricing, so that's part of it.
So it's set pricing. So you look at a piece of furniture, whatever that is, and you're like, this is worth $1,000.
Right.
And you are the expert. You and your sales associates will say, this is what this piece is. It's worth $1,000. You take pictures of it, you clean it up, dust it up, whatever it is.
Yep.
And then it goes up on Kuzak's shop.
Yep.
Kuzak's Closet.
Yeah. So the wholesale, it is in random order. We used to sell on Instagram. And so we wanted that same feel of a random order, a random volume of things. So people who maybe saw something in a preview, like a teak patio set, would be looking, but they didn't really see that or know that maybe that there was a bird bath that they were interested in, because maybe that got photographed after the marketing went out, because it's all in real time. So it's really fast paced. And so at the sale, it's click and buy, and you have 5 minutes to check out. So there's like this waiting game that shoppers will favorite an item. That's a feature we have. So you can favorite it if it's in pending, and then you can wait for that item to come out of pending, or you'll see that it went and it's sold. And then the shoppers will receive the address for pickup. It's always at the estate, so it's like a random location, which they will know. It's a Portola Valley liquidation or a Belmont liquidation.
And they have a certain amount of time to come.
And they have
pick up.
the next day from 9 to 4. And then by the end of the second day, it's typically empty and broom swept, because in tandem to that pickup window, then we are putting things in donation vehicles and metal trucks and our trash truck going to the dump. It's a well-oiled machine, but it's super fast-paced.
Okay, so I'm just trying to imagine how this looks, right? So 9 o'clock, everyone's got their Stanley water things, and you're walking in, and you're you've got this room. You have your kitchen expert and your bedroom expert and your yard expert, and they know what everything is worth and what's worth keeping and what's not. And you've got metal recycling bins.
Yeah, we have big toter buckets, and there's our own trash truck, so we don't use dumpsters. So when I say trash truck, it's like a moving vehicle, like a moving van. So I do that for sensitivity, so that the neighborhood doesn't know, Gloria passed away and they just threw everything away, which is not true. So we can use our trash truck for donations, metal or trash, but it's primarily that, and then the trash, and the guys will load it. We break everything down by hand with machetes. So when our trash truck goes to the dump, there's always an audience. People are always like, wow, how much stuff is... But because we can fit 4 loads in one load.
Okay.
So it's really efficient.
Trash goes to trash, recycling goes to recycling. Things that are still good but not worth selling go to donation. And do you have a specific place that you donate to that knows that you're coming all the time?
Yeah, we have a variety of places. So, and then we're always looking for different vendors who will take things from us as far as charities. Like yesterday, I had someone who was a first-time shopper, and she's setting up apartments for low-income housing for single moms, single families with, or not single families, single moms.
Yeah.
And so she's looking for storage containers. She's looking for clean sheets. She's looking for small lamps and trash cans, everyday things. So that's someone that we can look for items for, and then
put those aside for them. And know that they have a good place to go.
In certain cases, we always, for books example, we try to donate to the library, but most are it all depends on what their schedule is, what our schedule is.
Right.
So we had a huge estate in Cupertino 2 weeks ago. We were able to take 32 boxes of books to the Cupertino library. So that's also in the juggle of things of where things go, and is that going to San Jose? Is that going to we usually everything gets processed usually in the South Bay.
Okay, so none of the items are going to a warehouse to be picked up. It's a curbside pickup at the actual estate.
Yes.
And at the same time, you still have people shuttling things in and out of the house, because at the end of the process, everything is broom swept and vacuumed.
Yep, and it's empty.
And the house is empty. Mm-hmm. So they hand over the keys.
Every cabinet, every drawer, the refrigerator, garage, attic, patio, side yard. If you can move it, we remove it.
And how long does this take, start to finish?
Typically 2 to 3 days. So it's very fast paced. Some projects can be larger than that. I'm looking at one next week that has 2 homes. It's in the East San Jose foothills. There's 6 goats that live there. I mean, there's 6 shacks on the property.
Wow. So
that project would probably take us a week.
Okay.
So, but each one is different.
Okay. So I have a question about what's the craziest thing that you've found, or tell us a story about an estate that had particularly there's treasure to find, because I assume that there's things that people have forgotten about.
Yeah.
And you just happen upon something that is crazy valuable or sentimental or something like that. So what comes to mind?
Every estate has like hidden treasure, and
Yeah.
it's in the weirdest places. It's never
Because people, so when you have an estate, there's a bunch of different scenarios, right? So someone's like, maybe they're getting divorced and they've taken their personal belongings and they want everything sold and they're all moving on with their life.
Yeah.
Other times it's because the owner of the home has passed away and maybe we don't know where everything is because they're no longer here to tell us. So
exactly.
kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, so I would say the craziest thing we've ever found is an estate in Los Altos. They had buried treasure, literally buried treasure. In the backyard, there was a huge hole. So I asked the real estate agent before we started our project, what is the situation? Because I've seen all sorts of situations. So I didn't want to walk into something that would maybe like a unsolved murder, like why is there a hole in the backyard?
My goodness.
He's like, oh, they had, value of like silver bars they buried in the 70s. And so they had to get an excavation company because they were really down there. They're like 8 feet down there. So I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, well, there might be other value in the home, but they don't know. They think they found it all. So, and this was like, it calls me on a Wednesday. There's a hidden key under a shingle on the side yard. I mean, and this is like a hoarder's paradise. And so I go look at it. It also has to be empty by like the following Thursday because the family's leaving to go out of town and they want it done. So I'm like, we don't even have an opening. But I walked in and, it's like this is like a honeypot of mid-century and good treasure that I can see. I can see that this is good. But there's better things that I can't see.
Right.
So
you're like assessing, like going, wow, the furniture that I can see, the things that I can see now are valuable.
Yes.
That there's going to be, a lot of interest in these items, and we don't want this to go
to the landfill.
Because this is beautiful furniture that someone would really treasure, and we don't want this to be just someone else to come in and point at it and it goes into a dumpster.
Right. And that was definitely, I know, plan B for this real estate team. If our bid wasn't selected, they would have definitely gone that route. So it's like us versus trash in this situation. In some situations it's us versus auction, and in this situation it was us versus trash. So we had like a reward system. So everyone on staff got a $100 bill if you found something of value. And we start with the garage because we opened the garage door for this and like half the garage just poured to the driveway. And it was like, ooh, this is big. So we are in the garage and like 30 minutes in, someone's going through a file cabinet and it looks like there's sardine cans and half of them are wrapped silver bars. And you're like, oh boy. And I'm thinking like, as the owner of the company and I did the bid, I'm going to be broke because if I have to give out like $100 reward
for every,
we're going under. With 20 years of business, we're closing. And we just continued to find like Krugerrands in the freezer and cash in the oven. And at the end of this project, we found over $600,000 worth of gold and silver. And the family, the client was alive and he was living in a hotel because the house wasn't livable anymore and his son was in town, and so they would come by the estate every day at the end and collect their treasure. And that's what the whole team was so excited to see their faces because we were so proud of what we were able to turn over to them. So the first day the son's like, wait, I can't believe you have such an honest team to hand, this is a lot of value. And I was like, well, everyone's getting $100 bonus because we're also doing this on overnight, like late after other works and other work projects, and we're doing this on weekends, and so it's kind of a great way to get a bonus for working overtime, right? So, Julian, I think the first day got $1,200 extra.
Just like cash. Yeah. Here's $1,200.
So they're like, well, we'll start to pay the rewards. And I was like, oh, good.
Great.
So at the very end of the project, we did an online sale, and it was just we did Instagram Live video sale on this. So we did an art sale, and there was over 300 pieces of art, and you just be like, original oil paintings, landscape paintings, and you're like, this one's $450. Okay, sold to the music guy. Okay, this one is $300. This goes to Julia. And then we had piles and shoppers picking up, and it was just this crazy sale. So at the very end, we vacuum, and you can picture it's lime green shag carpet. It's a good 2.5 inches thick. The house is 3,000 square feet, and it's starting to look like this house was cool. The stuff here was cool, but this house it's cool. And so I was like, this has never looked better. I'm like, there are really big floor heating and cooling grates. And like, I just have a feeling there's got to be more stuff because we've looked everywhere.
So the house is empty. Furniture's out. Cabinets have been gone through. You found $600,000 of stuff.
And so
you have this like feeling like there's something else here.
There's something else here. So I like, let's just go and pick up all these metal floor grates and just look. Like, take your cell phone, take a flashlight. So the first one, Taylor pulls it up and it's in the primary bathroom and there's a rope and it's like 3 inches thick. It's like a big rope. Like you could sail the 7 seas with this thing. Like it. And she pulls it up and a silver bar's on the bottom. And I'm like, so the whole staff,
That's
like Anthony looks at me, he's like, Coach, they call me Coach. This is the best prank ever. I was like, no, it's not a prank. Like they thought I took silver bars, put them on ropes and hid them. And I was like, no. So we found one more in the living room. And then at the end of the day, Seymour at this point is like, the client, he's like, you can't have any more. There can't be any more, right? So I call him and I'm like, I know you weren't planning on coming today, but I found 2 more silver bars on ropes in like the HVAC system. And he's like, oh, I don't remember doing that.
I don't remember doing that.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm too tired to come pick them up. I'm like, I'll bring them to you. So I have to go like into some hotel in Sunnyvale with giant ropes with silver bars on the end. It was just like
unbelievable.
Yeah, so it's made we're like totally spoiled now because that was recent. It was this February, and it's made every project seem so boring now.
Yeah, like, but that's like an amazing treasure hunt, Easter egg hunt. Like that's incredible.
Yeah, we had another estate that was like a very modest estate. It was a woman, and she was a nurse in the military, and so she was on a pension, and she would get her pension check. And there's always signs that you follow. It's basically like you find some trait of a personality in the situation of like, what did this person's behavior, what's the consistent behavior? And if you find money in a bathroom, this person's storing money other places. So it's not in like the freezer like they think it's going to be. So I do like the hall bath, and she has like liners, like shelf liners throughout all the drawers. And under each liner it's a little envelope that she took to the bank with her pension check. It was like $184. And she would cash it and she would put it under the liner, and it was in everywhere. And she had a craft room, and so we found like, and $184. I think it added up to be like $12,000 we found in cash. So you're like, that was a lot of money to find.
Wow.
And you constantly like, did I shake that out? Because that's when we hand process stuff, and then if it does go into like the trash truck, then they like, there's no garbage bag that gets just put in the trash truck. So it always gets. We use trash buckets usually, but if it does go in a bag, the bag gets opened up and it gets like sifted through again. So just in case.
Yeah, it's just like nothing is missed. Because I was wondering, when my first thought was like, you found all this amazing stuff. I wonder how much stuff you haven't found that winds up like
I always wonder that.
Through.
Yeah, especially when we did like public estate sales, which is why I think the private estate liquidation is the best model, because you have ultimate control over everything. We used to offer in-person shopping, and I always think back like, I'd love for someone just honestly to be like, this. I found this killer item, or I found an oil can and there was $50,000 in it, right? So that's where I do like the peace of mind knowing that like we are in ultimate control, and there's no one who's going to come in and have access to a part of the house that they really don't need to be in.
I think it's really interesting, like the different, because you're in the South Bay primarily. It's a very affluent area, so you see all sorts of crazy things. And, I think most people think estate sale, they think like the dusty old, kind of like the garage sale. But it's not really that. Like it is some really high-end, high-end furniture, high-end things, that goods that are being
I think a big
sold.
category for us that people don't even think of is the people who are moving up.
Right, because you were telling me this is like, I had no idea that this existed. So if you are very wealthy and you're buying a new house, you don't want the furniture from your old house, which might be basically brand new and custom and beautiful and perfect, right?
Right.
To go into your new house, because that has a different aesthetic. You have a different designer who's doing other things. So kind of tell us about like those type of clients that they're moving up, or they're moving out of the area and maybe for a new job or something like that, and they just need you to come in.
Yeah, we call those ready-to-wear estates because you can take it home and you can put it right into your house as an instant upgrade. And I'm always trying to get the word out to real estate agents about our service because, and I guess personal assistants and estate assistants and managers, because they are the ones who are like, what do I do? I'll put this on Craigslist. I'm going to have someone haul this away. I'm going to have 1-800-JUNK come. And you're like, so we recently had a project on Bay Laurel in Menlo Park, which is like the most coveted street in Menlo Park. And It was a beautiful, like, Hampton-style home, and the family found us through the real estate agent who follows us. And, you know, he didn't think, he had no expectations. He was just looking at our service as a convenience factor because their new home in Atherton is a year from being done. So they were going to go on a 1-year trip through Europe with their kids before
Waiting for their custom brand new house to be finished.
Yes,
Nice.
yes. So we end up selling like over $50,000. And shoppers who follow us, those are, I think, one of their favorite sales. Like, I think you can put people into categories of, do you like the ready-to-wear luxury sales? Do you like, you know, mid-century honeypots? I mean, everyone likes both of those things, but the luxury sales, it's just even down to like somebody's, like yesterday, somebody came and picked up an $8 hand cream, like a Nest hand cream that would probably cost you $32. And it's like, it's worth someone's time to buy that.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting to us how we see different people buying things.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Bay Laurel project, it was just like, people then will send their direct messages into our marketing on Instagram. What happened to these people? Where are they selling? And,
Right. Yeah, a lot of curiosity.
yeah,
Like, this
it's
is
like,
amazing stuff. What is happening here?
yeah, like we just had another one, and we had 2 in Atherton last week. We did the pickup on one day, and it was like a luxury, like so much beautiful, like we had Goyard luggage, and like, I mean, each piece of that is $20,000 new, and so we had 3 pieces, so we ended up doing like an online type auction for that, and then we had, you know, just different new with tags clothing. And then you have like a whole restoration hardware bedroom set, and it's just like a good mix. But then you can also get like a kind of light, like new KitchenAid mixer that's probably just the wrong color for the new house. It's just,
You got to have the right. I mean, I can't really clash with the new backsplash.
No.
These are real problems.
Yeah,
that we've
so
got
it's
to
great
solve.
because, you know, a lot of charities are overwhelmed with what to do with certain things, and they, you know, there's a volume of stuff coming to our doors every day. And in Silicon Valley, it is like super fast paced. You know, if you can't get something on Amazon, then
Right.
you'll schedule like a Target shipped to come to your door, right? So the next day, because you want it that soon. And that's, with our service, I think, going back to how fast it is, because people think more time is better. And in the Bay Area, it's proven to be not. Like, the more time we give people to pick up, the less likely they will pick up on time.
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
so
Like
it's
that.
yeah,
You got to go now. You got to go quick.
yeah,
Otherwise,
and they know if we, you know, have a chair that they like, if they can't pick it up that day, then they're going to find a different chair somewhere to pick up tomorrow. And so, and we are constantly processing 2 to 3 estates per week, and we see a lot of the same shoppers, but we also see a lot of new shoppers. And I think that's just because our model is online, so we can attract people who are working. We have a lot of shoppers tell us that they like have a routine with their roommate, spouse, family. I mean, there's a woman that came yesterday, Barbara. She picks up for 6 people, like 6 family, friend members. Like, they all shop,
And then she's
she
the
picks it up.
designated-
She has an envelope with like a list of what they bought and their check, and you're like, this is amazing. And then there's like there's young girls in the city, and they'll like, oh, did you buy something? Okay, well, I'm going to buy something then, because then one of us will go pick it up, and then we can all get stuff.
Wow.
And coworkers, we hear about that, but like, I love it when, you know, we sold a bunch of stuff from the Bay Laurel house to a couple, and they're like, the biggest mistake we made was we drank a bottle of wine before the sale. So like, we just bought way too much stuff.
Yeah. So
So they'll have like, you'll be on an iPad, the other person will be on the phone, and then they'll like favorite this and do this, and then they schedule lugs to pick it up, and you're like, this is nuts.
oh my goodness. Tell me about like the app, because that to me is super interesting. So there was no like off the shelf app that would do this.
No, there's platforms that other people use. Like, there's online auction sites. You know, a big one would be Max Sold. So you could have a sale at your own house on Max Sold and list 12 items, and you could do that whenever you feel like it.
Okay.
So, and it's all auction based. And so like, Everything But the House did a big, you know, they raised $10 million, and their platform is everything starts at 99 cents.
Okay.
But no, there was nothing like an off the shelf. There's things like WooCommerce or Shopify, and they're great if you have like a skincare, you know, line that you're selling the same 30 products, and they do really great inventory management. The issue with us is that we have one item at one location, and if we do see it again, like, it's going to be in a different condition. It might be a different size. It might be a different color.
Right.
So just keeping up with that inventory management is really, really tricky.
Okay.
So we sold primarily on Instagram, which is insane to me that I think how many times you have to touch your phone to draft an item, photograph an item, and then then you save it, then you publish it, then you edit it as sold, then you tell the 36 people that didn't get it manually. There'd be someone on our team, we would rotate, who did the messages just to tell people basically,
sorry, you didn't get it. Yeah. And then you had to collect payment for it.
Yep, and then tell everyone their address. And then we would do Instagram live sales, which were super popular, but we only did them because Instagram would lock our account for 24 to 48 hours.
For a number of posts.
Yeah, and so we'd have a family who's hired us to do an estate, and we're not quite sure what time that sale could start and what platform of selling we could use, which we did a really good job of not ever letting anyone really understand the pains of that.
Right.
And all of our estates, there was never a sale that we're stuck. We can't do anything on time, because Instagram Live was really the one platform we could use. So I hired a company out of San Diego. My friend Sam Altman, who is really into AI, he's a big deal. So I trusted him, right? He recommended this company called Buildfire, and because I was looking for someone, he ran the white commerce program in Palo Alto for startups. So I thought maybe he would know someone from that. But so he recommended this big company called Buildfire, and I worked with them for over a year and spent 6 figures on an app, and then they just ghosted me. So I spent a lot of energy trying to get my money back, trying to get a product, and then I really had to get into a positive headspace and be I just have to move forward. But then with Instagram, it's well, what do you do? What do we do? Do we go back to in-person? But we are really passionate about private liquidation.
Yeah,
so what do we do?
So you have to change the business model or find another way forward.
So I'm and so then my husband was, Y Commerce, oddly enough, came out with Y Combinator, they came out with this program called Flutterflow that you could design your own app. And so my husband plugged along on it for about a year, and then he's it works. I was well, does it work? Does it, you don't understand. There's 10,000 shoppers,
right,
plus new shoppers all the time, plus new locations.
And it has to work all the time because we're doing 2 or 3 days a week. And
yeah, so we started, our first sale was on April 20th of this year, and we just went for it. And I was it was a sale that was all the art from Beetlejuice is in one house. And so we're this was the weirdest, most memorable.
That's amazing.
It was the weirdest house. So I was well, let's just try it and see, because it was so unique. Somebody's gonna we'd have traffic on the on the app, and we started with you have to start from somewhere with all new downloads, and that was really tricky for me because I've already announced the old app, the original app, and I've already gotten so many people to download. So getting them to understand that they're actually not re-downloading the same app, that this is a different app.
It's a completely different platform.
Yeah.
It's just yours. No one else has this.
It's just ours, yeah. So it's in the end, I look at it the silver lining really is that all the fees of hosting with a bigger company, and I'll get all that back because it was $1,200 to $1,400 a month and forever.
Right.
And so now I own my own platform, and so I can control it. Plus, I live with the developer, so he can run, but he can't hide. So he has to fix every problem.
You told me about this some time ago, and I've been thinking about it, and I'm that software as itself is an entirely other business, and I wonder how many other private liquidation companies around the country are doing a similar business model, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not as efficient as yours that runs like clockwork the way that you do, but that itself is its own business, to have that platform that works, that you have a niche audience of buyers, of shoppers that want to see this type of inventory coming up on the app.
It's a unique treasure hunt in itself, and you never know.
And you have to be tuned in to see it.
You
and
do.
if you're not there, then someone else is going to buy it. And so how many users do you have on the app now? Do you know?
We roughly around that 10,000 mark. I'm trying to grow
10,000 users somewhere in the Bay Area, or it could be anywhere.
We have. I mean,
right?
husband's you have to expand into LA. You have a huge amount of downloads of app users in
because
LA.
they can send
how would we do
a courier essentially to go pick up the piece. And
it's because the mid-century market is down. They'll buy there and have someone up here truck it down.
So if I was they had a antique store or something like that, this is where they should be.
Yeah.
Right. So
definitely.
Every buyer for any type of retail.
Yes, because our price point, I think that's the other thing too about our model that's very different, is just the confidence and the piece of listing an item for a set price. It takes a lot of guts to do that, because you're not going to be right all the time.
Right.
And the demand is high, and So you think, oh, that should have been higher. But there's really a lot of psychological aspects behind the scenes that you really have to put into play. And that in the full scheme of things, we're selling so much more volume for more value. And that those things that maybe sell for less than they should, it's nothing compared to what we're selling for way more than it would ever sell.
Right.
And like, there's things that, it could be $1 at an estate sale on a table and it would be walked past over and over, but an isolated, beautiful image with a description to someone who knows what that is, collects that.
A curated audience that knows what they're looking for.
They'll pay $8 and add it to their cart with 6 other things.
Right.
So
that is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's super fascinating to me. Is just how you've saw the need, like, hey, there's not something that exists to really capture the audience and like have the platform that we need so that our shoppers can see what we're doing, that we're not limited in number of posts, that they can transact through the app, they can, and you're building your own like proprietary audience. So when you have a prospect who's maybe talking to you or other private liquidation professionals, like that's a huge competitive edge for you to go.
Yeah, I'm always trying to put it to
10,000
like,
built-in buyers that are going to be tuned in because they know that we bring the goods.
Yeah,
right?
there's this idea that you need to have a line down the street, that you need to have people come and see and touch things. And it's not in the Bay Area, in our marketplace, with our mindset of, these busy people who are, tech people. We have so many young families. And then you have, the resale market, the dealers and antique buyers and resellers. This is like an insane area to shop because you can shop up here in Petaluma, you can shop Marin, Napa, you can shop the city, you can shop Oakland, you can shop, the peninsula. In other parts of the country, you got one city that you're going to shop in, and you might see a garage sale 20 minutes out, but you might not want to go to it. But with us, we can have people at an in-person sale somewhere shopping on our app, and then they'll use like Uber package to have it picked up, or like that's nuts to me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm also doing something because I'm like a big numbers person and a time person, but like I'll see an item that we could sell like that, and I'll list it on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, and I'll let it sit for like 5 days with no emails, none. But I could sell it like that. Isn't that nuts?
That is so interesting.
Like I'm just like, because time is money, and like I talked to a family the other day, and they're like, well, I put all the items on OfferUp, so if I don't get any emails or messages in 2 weeks, I was like, 2 weeks? By tomorrow night, if you don't get any, like, move on.
Yeah.
Like, it's time to liquidate, because I can sell all that tomorrow in our sale in 10 minutes. It'll be sold out.
Right.
So it's this crazy platform, but there's also like this, cast of characters at Kuzak's Closet that like, when you pull up, that you're going to have help, putting the item in your car. We're going to do our best to make sure it's in good condition. We do miss things once in a blue moon, but it's like we want to make sure that there's no rips, tears, stains. Like, it's a clean house. Like, if it's someone that didn't disclose that they had a cat that really liked to custom upholster furniture on their own, like, we're not going to sell those pieces and not disclose that to someone because there's cat allergies out there. Same with like smokers. Like, we could walk into an estate that someone forgets. That happened to us like 6 months ago. It didn't dawn on the agent to tell us that. And I guess it's, in all fairness, it's just like she didn't think about it.
Right.
And it's like, well, we can't sell what our sales goal should be because a lot of this can't be sold. Because we wouldn't do that to somebody, to have them stuck with something. So
So just the overall kind of clarification on the business model. So the homeowner or the estate, whoever's managing that, pays you a fee to go through this process. And then whatever the items sell for, they get all that money.
They get it back, yeah. So they're not billed until the end of the service.
Okay.
So it's a very Midwest approach. I'm from the Midwest, so it's like people always say, how do you know you're going to get paid? But it's at the end, and then I bill them, and they either get a check from me or I get a check from them. So it's a one-time.
So you do all the collection, all of the, you sell everything, you collect all the money, and then you square up and say, this is what the cost was, and because of that, and we made $50,000 on the thing, and our services were whatever, and you get the difference.
Right. Yeah. So like our client on Bay Laurel, he got, $40,000.
Right.
Where he just wanted to be able to walk away and say,
and at the
I don't have to
end,
touch anything
what
again.
the deliverable is, everything is
room
empty.
swept and empty.
Room swept, empty, vacuum done, see you later.
So that usually the real estate agent will come in next and do the floors, paint, stage, and
we want them to wait until the place is empty
Yes,
to start
yes.
doing these types of things.
we see the attempt to do it ahead of time,
Right.
and it's usually just more costly to the family because
Right.
they have to pay more to have the movers,
Right.
Painters move things,
Right.
and but it's after, and if we have a guarantee of like what day we're going to start, we always start on the day that we're promising, and we always finish on the day we promise, if not sooner.
Okay.
So then the realtors usually have like the schedule already set that the painters.
So you can
will
rely
come.
on them. So if you're saying we're done Thursday by 9:00 p.m., that means that on Friday morning,
Yeah.
that the painters and
It's often like a
can come
tag
in.
team. I feel like it's like we're all on this like weird sport
Right.
together of real estate because we'll be leaving and like the painters will be coming in with their
Right.
stuff, and it's like, okay, it's yours next.
So in the context of the Bay Area real estate, right, the By the Bay show that we're doing, is the way that you help realtors is you help them get the house empty and prepared for sale. You get everything out of it and make sure that the goods that are in the house go to the right place.
Yes.
The donations go to the donations. The things that are valuable to be sold get sold, and that money goes back to their client.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, which is in the interest of the client and the realtor, is that the house is empty. There's no stuff left behind.
They don't have
It's
to find another vendor.
all
or
been
one-stop
decisioned,
shop.
and the house is ready to be staged or fixed up
Yes.
or painted or whatever they're going to do to it to prepare it for sale.
Yeah, because we should clarify in the Bay Area, it is very different than the rest of the country. Every house here, 99% of the homes have to be empty before they go on the market because they'll sell so quickly that the real estate agents don't want to have to deal with the stuff after. And then the real estate agents want to make sure it's properly presented to be comparable to the other listings. They also want to have all their inspection reports clean. So if it's empty, they can do an inspection. They can fix everything that they need to fix
Right.
so that they can do another
They can
inspection.
stage it. They can
Yep.
and maximize the value.
value.
So this is part of the maximization of value
Yes.
for the seller.
Yes.
Is to get you involved, to get it all cleaned out, to
Yes.
put money back in their pocket, hopefully by
Yes.
selling the goods, the stuff that they don't
Yeah,
want.
because we see, this week's Menlo Park house, they were too overwhelmed with the stuff. So they sold off market to a developer, leaving money on the table. It's
Right.
in Menlo Park, right? That's a great city to be in, to buy in, big home, great location, great schools, but just 60 years of accumulation of metal and tools and weird stuff. And we emptied it, and I thought, this house has never looked better. And so it's just, for what we could do in 3 days, even if that family said, we don't want to put any more money into this, we're not painting, we're not staging, we're not doing carpet, they probably left, I would say, I have no idea what they sold it to the developer, but if they could sell to a developer who can make a profit in this market,
right.
they're leaving like $300,000 to $500,000 on the table. That's nuts.
That's nuts.
And that's where I'm like, don't let the stuff get in the way. Don't
Right.
let the stuff overwhelm you.
Right.
Because we can handle that.
Right.
Like all you have to do is figure out what you're keeping, and
Right.
then
So
we do
take-
everything
only
else.
take out what you want to keep for sure.
Yes.
And then if you find something like, this might be something that these people forgot
Yeah.
about, do you like go call them or
Yeah,
text
we'll let
them
them
a
know,
picture
especially if
and
it's
go,
out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
I mean, we find family photos a lot, documentation of, just like the other day we found like all of the family property deeds. Now, they don't need those
Right.
because those deeds, but it's just really interesting.
Right.
So it'd be something to me. And it was also found like under a cabinet that nobody's
Right.
gonna see that. So if it's out on the kitchen counter, we're gonna assume, they saw that.
They saw it
But
and they left it there.
Yeah, but
if
it's
it's
like
something that like, they might have overlooked this and this might be something that's
we'll leave
important
it.
to
So
them.
it's like always like money, extra keys, photos, personal documents, and then families leave us odd lists of like, what are you, what can you find this? This is on
if
my
you
wish
happen
list.
to find this thing that we lost and
I've had like the oddest thing I think was like they wanted the top to their thermos from their childhood lunchbox from
Okay.
like the 70s.
yeah. If you happen to find it, please let us know.
And we look. I mean, we always look. So it's
$100
crazy.
reward to whoever finds the top of
Yeah.
the thermos.
Yeah, so we like to know that, and it also keeps your brain, because I mean, you also have to think on our end, it's a bit of a fatigue to
Right.
touch and go through all that stuff. And I watch Instagram, influencers who are in like the resale market, because their trends really help with our trends, right?
Right.
If vintage clothing's made a huge comeback, LPs are making a huge comeback.
Totally.
Young people like that. So they're thrifting and recycling and upcycling is really hip. So I'm always watching like Instagram to see what are those trends and like how can we play up that on our marketing. And they'll but it's just like they're like, oh, I was at this crazy digger sale. And you're like, that's my every single day of my life.
Yeah, right. Every day.
And you have to constantly reset yourself and be like, okay, this is, somebody would buy this. And I think that's what I'm so proud of with our team, is that we are always like putting that $8 hand cream or like that one Pyrex bowl that might go to the 4-piece primary set. Like, we were going to sell that.
Well, our Pyrex bowl has a scratch in it.
What color?
It's green.
Oh, the green one.
The green one.
It must be the most popular size. It's always the one that's missing.
It's like this big, and it has a scratch on it. And every time I'm like,
Well,
but
if I
it's
find one,
sentimental. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Right, because that's that is what that's always the green one.
It's always the green one that gets scratched. I think there was a problem with it. Anyway, this is so cool, and I'm gonna down. I think I said this when we talked last. I'm gonna download. I want to see how this works in application. So if someone wants to download the app, they go to the App Store or Google Play, and they can look at
go Shop Kuzak's Closet.
KUZAKS.
Our next sale is, well, this might not be out by then, but we have sales schedules on the app. So like we have one in Saratoga on Tuesday night, and then we have another one in Los Gatos on Thursday next
But they're
week.
happening 2 to 3 times a week, and this is
all
around
over the Bay Area.
year. This is not a seasonal thing.
Yeah, there's no busy time. We're busy all the time.
All the time.
So
if you're into like the vintage type things or just want to see what's going on, download the app, check it out, and go to your website, and we'll link to all that stuff.
Yep.
Stay up to date with Bay Area real estate. Hit subscribe now if you haven't already. Did you enjoy this episode? We love reviews in the Apple Podcasts app. We'll read yours on the show. This is By the Bay.
London Ear Media.